just have a little chat about the DLC and what's been going on with Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah, sure.
And just kind of take your brains a little bit.
Cool.
Obviously, Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire, it's been out. Gosh, how long has it been now since they launched you guys
May
launched the game? So it's been a couple months.
Yeah.
What month is it?
It's now September officially
as of today.
So it's been
3.
4 in 1 week, right?
June,
All
July,
to June,
August.
July, August.
Yeah,
and then
3
September.
Yeah, 3 in 3 weeks. Yes. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. It's been out for a little while.
Yeah.
And definitely got a lot of traction with the Critical Role tie-in as well.
Yeah.
Big fan over at our site and doing weekly reviews and all that good stuff. So
Cool.
A little bit, just kind of briefly on that. Were any of you guys involved with that collaboration with the Critical Role team?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
And I know that moment's kind of, again, it's been, again, time's a blur, but like where did that all kind of come from and you know, the reaction following it, just kind of tracking that journey with that partnership.
So that actually started back a few years ago. I've been friends with the Critical Role cast for some years. I was in VO before I went into PR.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of talking around the time that Pillars 1 was out to go like, oh, would it be cool if we put you guys in the game? Because people are trying to make you. So we should do something with Vox Machina that way. And we were like, yeah, that would be cool. We'll never do it.
Yeah.
But it would be so cool. And so we were all really hyped about it, but nothing was able to come of it. Then we started doing Pillars 2, and we got to a place where like, this could be the time. So we ended up talking to them about it a bit more, and we wanted to try and tie it in so that they were key people in the game as well as doing the Vox Machina side of things. So that's where Alex and the fellow narrative designers came in to help us find slots for them to all fit in that wasn't too forced and not outside of the realm of that something they could do. But then also just worked with them on how we can promote on their show, how we can help promote their show, and a lot of going back and forth with them to set all that stuff up, and then getting the announcement ready for PAX East since we were on the RPG panel and getting that live. And they've been fantastic to work with. They're very positive about the partnership and wanting to keep it going, which is really cool, and look for new ideas, new ways that we can potentially reach more of their audience and help bring them in. And they believe in the game, which helps a ton. Matt loves Pillars. He backed the first game sight unseen because it was...
Well, didn't he do wasn't there like a stream where he did like a special thing on Twitch where you just watched him make the character?
Yeah.
I mean, it takes certain, commitment and love of the game to just like, hey guys, I'm gonna just watch a stream of me just making characters in the character creator.
Yeah. And it was just essentially him just building Vox Machina the way he would do it in Deadfire, and the critters ate that up and loved it. So it's been awesome working with them.
Yeah, they're all just wildly talented and incredibly flexible to work with. And like, for example, Ashley, who voices Edwin in our game, is crazy in demand right now, and she had to go back to New York for a shooting and was willing to do recording for Beast of Winter VO on, like, that was her 4th of July, was she came in to do VO on that day because that was the day that she could make free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ashley is very in demand. Critters miss her, people, blindside up there.
Yeah. So, and that was the other really good thing too, is they're all building a whole universe for Critical Role, right? Like they have their own Twitch page, they have their own studio, and
I was going to say that they've now kind of branched off to become their own thing.
Yeah,
so that's kind of has that changed the dynamic between you guys?
It hasn't. It's given us new ways of maybe where we can find opportunities to work together as DLCs come out, and maybe some ideas get tossed around, which has been fun. But at the same time, because of those changes, they're also kind of spread out, but they're they're still very, very professional, and if we need them to come in for video recording, they'll do what they can to make sure that they accommodate that aspect of it, because they still, while they're not doing Vox Machina and stuff, they still embody these characters from Deadfire that a lot of people really love now. So they're all in on just helping them go and help us get off what we need.
That's awesome. So with the DLC, with kind of like expanding the Pillars PoE2 universe, so what, for fans who either aren't playing the game yet, or maybe they picked it up and they're not really familiar with what's out there to offer, what does this DLC kind of focus on? And maybe is there a roadmap for future DLC to look forward to, maybe later this year or into next year, to continue expanding the story?
Sure. I can start that off, and then you can add whatever I miss, I guess. So as we just released Beast of Winter, Beast of Winter really catered to the player that wanted to kind of see a little bit of everything. We added a lot of new dungeon content. We added a really cool kind of new story element. We kind of did some traveling to areas of lore that we hadn't done before, and we kind of set up this cool new dynamic where the players got to learn a lot about the world of Aora in a way that they haven't gotten to do that before. And that was really exciting to us. This upcoming DLC is going to be kind of for the player who really is into like our combat and systems. So we're adding a lot of stuff that'll appeal to the player that, really enjoys battling and really enjoys like kind of messing with their characters and learning new difficult combats and trying to like find the best way to get through different fights and things like that. That's not to say that there aren't a lot of elements for the player that still likes a story, and for the player who still likes, playing dress up with their character, and like all the player types. We still want to appeal to everybody, but we're really leaning on that, like how can we kind of push the limits of our combat system and see like what we can make. I don't know, did I miss much on that, or is
So
that kind of
when it comes to the combat, like
Yeah.
focusing on the combat,
Sure.
what maybe a couple specific changes or mechanics that are being added in for those players who like tweaking with their characters?
Yeah, so specifically, the DLC has, it kind of takes place in an arena. And what's going on in there is a lot of really cool elements where we put together fights that the player is put in the middle of, and there's a lot of new things that they have to deal with. So maybe there's a fight that's kind of centered around identifying what I should be attacking first. And there may be like buffs and debuffs on the enemies that help you identify that, and the effects on the enemies. But if you do it in the wrong order, you'll have like a really bad time. Or maybe there's a fight that kind of has navigation elements to like where you're standing on the battlefield. One fight that we've briefly talked about in the past is there's two brothers that are a druid and a wizard, and you go into the arena to fight them, and one of them casts kind of arcane spells, and one of them casts more druidic nature spells. And there are safe spots on the battlefield that you need to stand to become immune to each of them, but they alternate who's doing more damage and attacks. So you need to like navigate around the battlefield and deal with that type of stuff. So there's a lot of that kind of like, hey, let's push you to kind of learn that like positioning is a big element of this fight, or push you to identify like knowing that I need to do damage quickly is a big element of this fight. And some of these fights, especially on harder difficulties, may require you to switch up your party and not just use what you're used to and things like that. So we're really trying to focus on that type of stuff.
Combat in Pillars can be a bit of a puzzle, a bit of a problem-solving exercise in just general base game, and I think that we're really pushing on that in this to present more problems, more complicated or stranger problems than you would necessarily have in a straightforward adventuring scenario.
Yeah, and we really want to focus on, a lot of players will want to play this DLC and just hear the story of it, and we still appeal to that player. We still have like story time mode where you can go in and you can just kind of go through it, and the fights will be pretty easy for you, and you'll get to hear the story and you'll get the new items and things like that. But for the player who really wants to challenge themselves, our higher difficulties will be very challenging in this DLC. So,
and even for those players who are doing it at story time, once you've unlocked a combat, you can go back and play it as many times as you want.
Right, so you could up the difficulty and play it again if you wanted to, and all that stuff. Yeah.
No, that sounds like a lot. I mean, I'm imagining like some of the more challenging fights, like in Dragon Age Inquisition and stuff like that. Like, and you go into like that plotting mode and like moving people around and trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
It also sounds kind of like some late game raid type bosses, like
Kind of,
you know,
yeah.
and like MMOs and things like that. And, like,
Sure,
going
yeah.
Lord of Vision, everybody, and
We definitely.
setting in fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no doubt that when we're sitting down and doing kind of like we do a lot of meetings where we sit down and play through a fight and then we iterate on it. We play through it, we iterate on it, and like we want to make them all really good. And so when we're sitting down and playing through them, I don't think a session of sitting down and playing through fights like World of Warcraft doesn't come up, or like something where we're discussing like, oh, this was a really cool mechanic here. Maybe we want to like figure out how to like kind of twist that in a Pillars way and make it cool here, or some other game comes up like Dragon Age. You bring up like that type of stuff. We talk about those all the time, and there's a lot of inspiration drawn from. You know, we're all gamers. We all love games, so there's inspiration drawn from all over the place, and it's really like putting those Pillars twists and making it Pillars, you know, and finding stuff that we really love also in our universe with our mechanics and our systems that are great.
We also, like, one of the things that we're always looking to MMOs for is that they're very good at communicating those mechanics per fights.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're making your fights more complicated, you have to try to let the player in on what's going on, so that
how they can survive certain phases, and so giving them a chance to learn it instead of just wondering, you know, well, that's strange. I wonder why this, you know, suddenly this dragon hits me and I die instantly. You know, like didn't notice the charging up attack or whatever it is.
Yeah,
interesting. So in terms of and so what's the timeline on the DLC? So it's not out yet. Correct?
It's not out yet.
It's Visa Winter.
Are we saying anything right now?
So, yeah, because we'll announce tomorrow at our panel that it'll be out on September 25th.
Okay.
Yeah, so everybody will know.
It's the same day that Pathfinder launches.
Pathfinder Kingmaker?
Yeah. That was unintentional.
Okay.
But there was an opportunity that came up with our publisher that we want to take care of, or make sure that we're a part of.
Yeah, sure.
It happened to line up that way.
Okay, cool. So you'll announce that tomorrow. So embargoed until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're also going to be giving you, I think Aiden will be sending a press release that's just for the announcement, saying that we announced over the weekend that we're doing this. That's going to go up on or for Wednesday, but you can write anytime after tomorrow. It's like 7.
Okay.
What do you want?
Sounds good. And then, are there currently plans for the next DLC? Or like, I know you're talking about like last time it was more for lore stuff. This time it's more for combat. So, are presumably, historically speaking, would the next one then be back focusing on more lore and story expansion?
So
that's the idea.
The last one is we're still kind of talking about a lot of it, but what we've announced so far is it's called the Forgotten Sanctum, and it is kind of very wizardy oriented, and also we will say that each of these DLCs are increasing in level as we go. So the last one was level 15-ish area. This one's kind of like the 16, 17, and that last DLC is going to be just very end game. It's going to be for the like 18, 19, 20 player. And so you're going to get a chance to really like see what it's like to be at the end of the game, and see what your kind of power level is. We've got a lot of really cool, interesting and weird going on in the last DLC. So we don't have a whole lot to say about it yet, but we're pretty excited about it. I'm really excited about it.
It's going to be real cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Cool.
I think that's about it. That's
Cool.
all I want to hash out with you guys. I guess just kind of more non-Pillars talk, but like, what have you guys been checking out this weekend? If you had any time to check out the show floor, play anything, or is there anything specifically you're looking forward to? Got Spider-Man this week.
Spider-Man looks really, really awesome.
Yeah, Spider-Man does look awesome. I was walking past a game today that caught my eye that I'd never played. Oh, well, I'll get to that. I was walking past a game that I'd never played or seen before, called Gris,
Yeah.
G-R-I-S.
Oh, yeah.
Devolver.
Oh my god, it's so beautiful.
Pretty.
It's so beautiful. I was entranced by it. Like I said, I stood there and watched it for like 10 minutes. That was so cool. And I also am really excited for Killer Queen Black. I was a huge fan of the arcade like cabinet game that kind of transports from convention to convention. It's come to the Switch now, so I'm really excited for that too.
There's a game in the indie mega booth called Headliner, which is
I got my email invite for that game the other day. It was pretty funny. It's like for yours only, don't tell other citizens, and the whole fake news aesthetic.
Yeah.
Which is pretty entertaining.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. What about you?
There's a few I've seen. There's one called NeoCab, which is being published by Fellow Traveler, and it's this very narrative-focused game where you're essentially an Uber driver in a futuristic city, and it's all just dialogue-based, and you just talk to your clients as you drive places, but then certain things happen, so then you have to, like, do you go and help out this client who you've talked to before, who, like, treated you really well, or you just go and say, like, I'll just get a new job, and as you treat them, like, options will kind of go away from what you can say to them or can't say to them. Like
if you don't help them out with something, the next time you pick them up, it won't be as like warm.
Yeah,
Like they'll be more like standoffish.
yeah.
Interesting.
And you can see like a mood level for your driver, so that you know if like they're angry and like stressed out. So if they're too angry, then like their dialogue becomes really clipped. So you have less choices I can actually say to people, and it's beautiful. It's all 2D. But it looks like it's 3D cell shaded. It's magical. It's up on the 6th floor, so I would
The
highly.
6th floor
The sixth
is
floor
the magical place. It is a really good place. It's just like
This is a pro tip for anybody who has never been to PAX West before, or you're going to PAX West for the first time.
Yeah.
The 6th floor is a magical place. A lot of magical things happen there.
Yeah.
The PAX 10 is there.
Yeah.
And
It's just there's so much heart up there.
Yeah.
Like that's I don't know a better way to put it. It's just like people that have thrown their like souls into their games and made this like really artful, like wonderful place.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's really cool. I think that's all I have for you guys. So thanks for taking the time to chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem.